Today we're diving into a rather interesting development involving former President Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth. Trump recently made some comments praising Hegseth, despite reports about a second Signal chat. What do you think about the whole situation?
Yeah, it's pretty intriguing. On one hand, Trump is known for supporting people in his inner circle, but on the other hand, reports of these second Signal chats raise questions. What do you think is the bigger story here, Trump's praise or the controversy around the chats?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Trump's support for Hegseth seems almost like a typical move for him. He's loyal to those who back him. But the second Signal chat, what exactly is going on there? It sounds a bit like a communication method that's meant to be secretive, doesn't it?
It does. And considering that Signal is often used for its encryption, it's not just a random choice for these kinds of conversations. So it's curious, are these chats purely private, or is there something more strategic at play here?
Exactly. Trump's statement about Hegseth doing a great job adds another layer to the intrigue. Why praise someone when there's a cloud hanging over them? Is it just a simple endorsement, or is it a strategic move to keep Hegseth on side, especially with everything going on in the political landscape?
Trump's endorsements are always fascinating. It's never just about praising someone's work. It often feels like there's an underlying reason, right? Perhaps he's making sure Hegseth stays loyal to him in the face of these reports. Could this be his way of shoring up support?
That could very well be it. Political loyalty is everything for Trump, and if Hegseth is part of that inner circle, it makes sense to make a public show of support. But what about the second Signal chat? What do you think that means for Hegseth's reputation?
It's tough. I think the chat situation could either be a minor blip or something more significant. If there's a hint of something shady in those conversations, it could affect his credibility. But if it's just normal communication, it might blow over.
It's all about the optics, isn't it? If the public doesn't see the substance of those chats, it's easier to dismiss them. But if something comes out in the open, especially involving a high-profile figure like Trump, it could be damaging.
And let's not forget the media. They'll definitely amplify any angle they can, especially when it comes to Trump's associates. The narrative around Hegseth will likely shift based on what's revealed. The bigger question for me is whether Trump knew about these chats beforehand or if this is all unfolding now.
That's a good point. If Trump was in the loop, it could explain his public defense of Hegseth. But if he wasn't aware of the chats and is just now hearing about it, that adds a whole new dimension of drama. What do you think he'll do next?
Trump's not exactly known for sitting back when his allies are in the spotlight. He'll probably double down on his support for Hegseth, maybe even brush off the controversy. After all, he's got experience handling these kinds of situations.
True, he's a master at staying ahead of controversies. But I wonder if he'll also try to distance himself if things escalate. What if those Signal chats turn out to be more than just a simple private conversation?
Yeah, if the content of those chats gets exposed and it turns out to be a bit more than innocent exchanges, it could put Trump in an uncomfortable position. It's a fine line to walk when you're publicly backing someone with a potential scandal brewing behind them.
And considering the current political climate, any scandal can be magnified in an instant. So while Trump may be trying to deflect or downplay the reports, there's always the risk of this becoming a bigger story than anticipated.
Absolutely. Public opinion can shift quickly, especially with something like this, but it's also worth considering, does Trump's continued support for Hegseth mean that he has some kind of leverage over him? Maybe Hegseth has dirt on others, or maybe Trump simply trusts him?
That's an interesting theory. Maybe there's more to the relationship than just political support. It could be that they have a deeper alliance, one that goes beyond public appearances. Either way, Trump's endorsement is powerful, and it's hard to ignore.
Right. The endorsement gives Hegseth a shield for now. It'll be interesting to see how Hegseth handles the situation if the reports continue to evolve. Does he stay on the defense, or does he confront the issue head-on?
I think Hegseth's response will be telling. If he remains quiet, it could suggest he's just following Trump's lead, but if he decides to address the issue, it could change the narrative completely.
That's true. He could either stay loyal and ride out the storm, or he could start distancing himself. The question is whether Trump's support will be enough to protect him if the controversy heats up.
Well, that's the game, isn't it? In politics, loyalty can go a long way, but it can only do so much when the pressure builds. It'll be fascinating to see how this one plays out.
For sure. Whether it's Trump's influence or the deeper story behind the Signal chats, we'll be keeping an eye on how things unfold. It's just another chapter in the unpredictable saga of political alliances and power plays.
Definitely. And it's a reminder that in politics, everything is connected. A small conversation on a secure platform could end up being the spark for something much bigger. It'll be interesting to see how this one unfolds,